Nate Silver of 538 decided to compile a list of the phrases repeated most often by Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. And I want to go through some of them here and see if we can learn anything. Now, before I go on, I have to say, I told you so. When I say that Bernie Sanders' entire campaign is based on policy substance, and Hillary's is not, and it's more flowery rhetoric, well, kind of proves it here. So, what are some of Hillary Clinton's top phrases? To do more, how we're going to, what I will do, I know how, to do everything I can, and that's a separate one. Barriers that stand in the way, that's one I mock all the time. I'm going to knock down the barriers that stand in the way. Okay, how? How? Policy substance. No, I'm just going to say the vague thing and then you'll vote for me. And then I took on the, and those are her, some of her top ones here. Now, Bernie, you ready for this? Healthcare to all, a corrupt campaign finance system, have more people in jail than any other country, the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, paid family and medical leave, a political revolution, income and wealth, state of Vermont, the minimum wage. Let me just say this. He also has other things in there like a tax on Wall Street speculation and transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency. So it's not a question. When you actually crunch the numbers and you do the hard work, this feeling that we have when we watch them, it turns out to be totally true. She's up there and she's like, okay, give me my standard political stump speech and my talking points. And I'll speak in a vague way, in a generalized way, and I'll talk about how, in America, we're the land of equal opportunity, and we need to knock down the barriers holding people back, and we need to do this and do that. And it's never like, hey, here's the bill that I would propose. Here's the specific policy I'm in favor of. With Bernie, it's almost only that. He's like, okay, a single-payer Medicare for all system, and the rest of the modern world has similar systems to that. And what we would do is we would do public funding of a private system, but since it's public funding, that's the single payer, and it's just details oozing out of his pores. Guy's like, okay, $15 minimum wage at the federal level across the board. Okay, this is how we're going to transfer over from fossil fuels to energy efficiency. Hey, let me explain to you the dynamics of corruption in the system and the problem with the incentives and how politicians do the bidding of their donors. The fact that anybody could watch these two and think, I'm with her, as their hashtag goes, is mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Because if you care about the policy substance, if you're issues-based, if you're a wonk, well, then there is no question. You go, oh, yeah, that guy's talking about it. He's very specific. And she's more, the standard 90s politician of... And actually, to be fair to her, she's not as bad as like Martin O'Malley or Marco Rubio, because they have the politician rhythm and cadence, way of talking, inflection, where like it's just everything about it is fake. I think when the way Hillary talks is perfectly fine, and it's really not crazy politician-like, which is good. But what she says is totally politician-like. And then, obviously, whenever she breaks away from that for a little bit, what does she do? She copies Bernie Sanders. Now, I said from the beginning of the campaign she should have done that, because I think she would already have the nomination locked up if from the beginning of the campaign she just played the Me Too game with Bernie Sanders, because she already has higher name recognition, she's already a bigger celebrity, so if he goes out there and makes all these great arguments and she's right there to say, I'm going to make the exact same arguments, and I agree, well, then she already has the bigger name, she would win. But she keeps going back and forth. Half the time she's like, I'm more pragmatic and more moderate, and I don't want to do anything near as far as he does. And then she goes down in the polls, and then she's like, oh, I want to do exactly what he does. Then she goes back up in the polls. And so it's been this tug of war. So, but there you have it, man. Now you know. If you take them at their word, he's more policy-focused, she ain't.